Joining me now on the Bleav in Jets podcast is NFL insider, NFL Network analytics expert Cynthia Frelund. I saw a tweet, and this is where this conversation started because I saw this tweet yesterday and I replied. And then a lot of times now I do this too because I make social media clips for WFAN, and my whole job is to aggregate things and get people to go crazy on social media over takes, right? But I saw your take yesterday about Justin Fields and from Good Morning Football, and I was like, man, this is. I replied right away because I'm like, there's no way Justin Fields. Oh, sure. So first, explain what your take was to the audience, and then maybe I'll tell you what my reply was.
So, first and foremost, the question was, what do we expect from the Jets this season and Justin Fields in his third stop? Is this the year where he's going to have the best year of his career, et cetera, right? In TV, we have to this, you have to make it big. Is he going to be amazing? Is he going to be, I don't even know what lead them to a playoff game or some crazy thing that it's a whole team effort anyways. But my point was that in this system and the kind of from Aaron Glenn on down, bringing over Tanner Engstrom from the Lions and having a guy who's very used to adapting a system to fit the specific capabilities of a quarterback. Now, Jared Goff is a very different quarterback than Justin Fields. Their style is quite different. One tends to be a little more of a pocket passer. The other one isn't. So when you're looking at styles, it's not I'm not saying you're inputting the same style for style, but what I am saying is what they did for Jared Goff was create the system around him that really accentuated his positives and minimized his negatives, which is what I think this whole system, both sides of the ball for the Jets, will be all about. Minimizing the negatives and maximizing the positives. And when it comes to Justin Fields, well, first you help out at right tackle. Always going to be a good deal. Then you're going to have Breece Hall, who's a super dynamic runner. That's something that's pretty similar to what you see in the Detroit model. You got Garrett Wilson. I mean, Garrett Wilson, to me, his trajectory is even better than Amon-Ra St. Brown's. They're just at a different point in their career. You could make that argument, and I'm a Lions fan. I'll admit it. I like Amon-Ra. This is not an anti-Amon-Ra. I'm saying I'm very pro Garrett Wilson. But my point is, Justin Fields will have a different sort of command of this. And then, by the way, Mason Taylor, that's another addition. Sam Laporta, these are some things that are starting to look a little bit more familiar. They're starting to look a little bit more in the construct of creating plays, figuring out a passing offense. You don't work for Ben Johnson for 2 years and not pick something up about how to create a passing offense that maximizes the chances for your quarterback to succeed. Now, do I think the Jets are going to the Super Bowl? I think we need to pump the brakes on some of these things, but ultimately, what I'm looking at here is a massive step forward to see who he actually is. We know he's going to run. You're not going to take that out of him. That's part of what makes him great. But now can we see him run in spots where it really makes sense? Can we get some of the things that he saw ahead of him? He has played through some O-lines that are not great at all. Now, how do we see who he is now when things get a little bit better? And perhaps then they build on each other and they get even more better. That's not good English, but you know what I'm saying.
And this is exactly the point, though, because you have a take which is thought out and it's a whole elaborate thing, but they aggregate it for 60 seconds on social media. They don't include the question which was in there, and that's the job, right? So I replied, makes sense. We've seen so much great promise from Fields in his career. All he needs is a guy with a proven track record of developing great quarterbacks like Aaron Glenn to unlock him. I was being sarcastic because look, Aaron Glenn's first-time head coach, and even you said it in the clip. I mean, Ben Johnson, the kind of tree he has, he doesn't have a tree. He hasn't even been a head coach himself yet. So first-time play caller, first-time head coach, and a quarterback who's pretty much proven throughout his career that he's not really capable of being an accurate passer. Why would this year be different?
I mean, the difference is let's slow it down for him. I actually think that the East is very fascinating. I think Miami takes a big step back, and
I'd
I
agree.
think it's really fascinating to see between the Jets and between the Patriots, who have some similarities in terms of, Drake May's figuring out what the heck he's seeing from defenses. Justin Fields, he's figuring out what he's going to see from defenses, right? So I think when you have the opportunity here to maybe kind of, get ahead of things. If you choose someone as early as they chose Justin Fields, you believe something works for what you'd like to do. You have a vision for it. I don't think it doesn't feel like they're sort of stuck in this no man's land. Like the Saints, right? Their quarterback situation feels far different than the Jets feel. It feels like you're really choosing a guy. You have some belief in what you've seen from him. I know that, the Steelers, that whatever. Like that was a strange year. I don't know. Like the whole thing is strange. But when you have a vision for someone and you go out and get them, I Bleav if you go back and look at some of the takes about Jared Goff coming to Detroit, it's not too dissimilar. He's washed, blah blah blah. He's not going to be any good, blah blah blah. I mean, yeah, okay, he'd been to a Super Bowl, but
Exactly.
it's not like he was playing lights out in that Super Bowl though.
No.
Like he was not like a force to be reckoned with. So I would argue that if someone believes in me, I'm at least gonna have a better chance to succeed. And when I have a really great, I mean, look, George Pickens, I mean, he's a good pass catcher. I'm confused about how he operates, right? Like, but I know guys love Garrett Wilson in the locker room. I know a lot of great things there. So perhaps the situation overall would be set up for better success.
I hope so. And I do think it is a unique situation here. The Goff situation, like you said, is different because he goes to Detroit, but he's coming from Sean McVay and going to a Super Bowl. Yeah, he didn't play great in that game. We all know that, but he at least got to a Super Bowl. He showed some signs. You would you say you're still technically a Lions fan?
Yeah. I mean, look, it's funny, and you know this from working in
Yes.
this industry so long. Like you tend to like people. Like, I grew up in East Lansing, Michigan. We're all supposed to hate Ohio State guys. I love Garrett Wilson, Ohio State guy. Justin Fields, I'm defending him. I love Ryan Day. I went to Boston College. Ryan Day was a GA when I was there. So you kind of lose your allegiance. You
Of
still have
course.
your like, it's nice to see the Lions doing well because I was there for some lean years. So obviously you like that, and I love Aaron Glenn. So I mean, but I also really like the Jets. Like I was trying to work in, like I wanted DeBrickashaw Ferguson to somehow come up yesterday, but I was trying to work in as many O linemen as I could, and that's my favorite, like one of my all-time favorite O linemen. Period. Full stop. Any team, anywhere. So you just like people, after you work in it for so long. But but Lions fans know suffering, not too dissimilar to some Jets fans.
And so there's negative and positive there. You've seen the turnaround, you've seen what it takes, and Aaron Glenn was definitely a big part of that. But you also got to see Justin Fields a couple of times a year. And what have you seen specifically from Fields that you think he can, I guess, expand upon to obviously the running game, but that he can grow into a full, well-rounded, at least starting quarterback in the league?
If he can get some of his tendencies of running the ball when he could potentially wait, hold on, and throw it, or throwing the ball away, being a little bit more judicious about what throws he's taking, making, who's open, etc., that's going to be go a really long way for him. What sometimes rushing can be a dual threat, and we say it in a good way, and sometimes it actually is threatening to the quarterback because their instincts are, I'm a great athlete, I know how to run, I've been playing. Justin Fields outran everyone, I'm sure, right? For
Hmm.
every single level of football he ever played up until the NFL level. And that's sometimes those habits need to be kind of unhabited, right? Like you need to learn a new habit and figure out how you can trust a little bit more of what you see in front of you. Because if you're just gonna, if the game, we say this like the game needs to slow down, but I think it's more just recognizing coverages, making it easier on himself at this level after having, I mean, he was under pressure. I can't remember the exact number, but it was like as a Bear, he was like running backwards the whole time. Like he was playing defensive back. Like he was running on his heels. Like so it's not like he's had this great foundation where he came from a situation where his O lines have been giving him so much time, et cetera. That is not what's been happening. So he needs to be able to diagnose defenses, see what's in front of him, and make some decisions. And if he can if they can make the game slower for him, then it's going to be a successful season.
I hope so. And like you said, with Membu and Fashanu and Joe Tippmann and AVT, the offensive line for him to succeed is in place. So I do like that. You then also challenged everyone. You said, or I say challenge in quotes, but you said, all right, I'm keeping receipts, which by the way, the last time someone said that associated with the Jets was Robert Saleh. So that didn't go so well, but all right.
Also from Michigan. Oh my goodness, this is
Yeah,
not good.
exactly. Yeah.
Anyways, yeah,
But
no, just
you're
kidding. Just
keeping
kidding.
receipts. You wanted people's predictions. I said 16
Yeah.
passing touchdowns, 7 rushing touchdowns, which I think is a step forward for him. I think that is an improvement. I think that's an average season where they win 7 or 8 games. I don't think that's too crazy to ask for, but I don't think you're building the offense around him. It's a lot of Braylon Allen, a lot of Breece Hall, short stuff to Garrett Wilson. But you didn't give your prediction. So what is your prediction? I know you have the model, so here's where the analytics comes in. So
Yeah, so I think it's at least 20 passing touchdowns.
really,
I think that I'm maybe the first two games won't look like that, and maybe it will take a minute to get into lockstep. It could be off of Yak though. I'm not
yeah,
suggesting he's
that's fine.
throwing 65-yard bombs every single game. He does have a great arm, but I feel like it could come from Yak, it could come from scheme, it could come from some of the ways we saw, you know, again, I don't like the comp to Jared Goff because they're just such different style
Hmm.
quarterbacks, but some of that more tempo stuff that helps you get in rhythm. And I think every Jets fan would be much happier with 3rd and 2 than 3rd and 15. So and who else would is Justin Fields. So I think when you're looking at the opportunity here, Yak could be dictated. And I agree with you. I think you're about, what'd you say? How many rushing touchdowns did you
I
say?
said
Six?
16 and 7. So
Okay. I think mine's like it just says 20 and 6. So
yeah,
it's the
right there.
you're fine. Like it's pretty similar, but I think we get up into 20, and I think that it looks faster. It looks cleaner, crisper, shorter, but leads to more.
One of the things you mentioned is the short yardage situations, 3rd and 2. The Jets were one of the teams that voted to keep the tush push, which I love. That's a mentality coming right away from Aaron Glenn. No, we want to run the ball down your throat. We want to out tough you. It's not 1st and 10 for us. It's 1st and 9 every time because we're going to get those extra yards. That I think is a great place where they can really utilize Fields.
Fields, and also you're investing in your O line for a reason. If you
Hmm.
want to be able to do things like this, it's funny because people like a lot of the arguments against it were like safety ones, and then some people are like, well, nothing's happened, and then some people are like, nothing's happened yet. And I think if you're what's going to happen, just like everything else in this game, is the teams that are good at the tush push, see Eagles, are going to help create it in a safe way because they're not trying to get just Jalen Hurts hurt. They're
No.
trying to keep him upright. So if you have that model, you will also start to see more success with it in ways that it'll start to evolve as well, and so will defenses. So I was with keeping it because I think by the time, like if you kept it exactly the same, like I think you should want to be like, you're also not going very fast in those situations. Relatively speaking, you haven't gotten up to full speed. So the impact, I don't know, there's a lot of ways to slice that, but I'm looking at it and I say, I think it should stay in. I'm with you. I think it gives a huge advantage to any team that's investing in their O line, any team that's investing in a quarterback with those types of skills. And I mean, Justin Fields is a great athlete. You can't, even if you are leery of anything else, he's still a great athlete.
I agree. I wanted to keep it. It's to me, it's like, oh, you're going to ban play action because oh, you're tricking us. It's a play. Stop it. Learn how to stop it. Right. You mentioned investing in the offensive line. The Jets made a couple of big investments last week. What do you think about paying Garrett Wilson and Sauce Gardner when they really didn't have to pay them yet? But it's almost like, hey, we want to build the foundation. We're going to set a precedent here with the new culture, new staff, new everything. New locker room, as we found out this morning. But so what do you think of that?
Surprise.
And yeah,
I love
exactly.
it. Yeah. Whatever. Yeah. No, that's great. I just think the time value of money is smart. It's not like these contracts are getting smaller. It's not
No.
like you're not gonna save money by by waiting until next season to sign two people who you want to build around. Homegrown talent means a lot to the players in the locker room. I mean, when you get offensive and defensive rookie of the year in the same season, and you get a chance to pay them in the same season, it feels like you are now a team with foundational pieces to build around for the future. Maybe you don't have quarterbacks sorted out yet. Okay. But it's not getting cheaper if you wait till next year to sign these two guys. It's just not. I mean, unless you want to be the Cowboys and wait till the last minute on everything, and look at how they pay so much. They pay a premium. They
Well,
signed
just
Dak.
ask Jerry Jones. You could get hit by a car tomorrow. So
That's right. Or you could ask Kyle Shanahan. We don't even know if we're going to be here Sunday.
right, exactly.
Whatever. But the point is they signed Dak on, I believe, this like September 8th last year, which was like the day of the home opener or their opening. It was like but that's not saving the money. That's
Hmm.
actually probably not. It's probably not a great strategy. Don't tell Jerry I said that, but
The I understood the Garrett Wilson one, obviously. I think a lot of Jets fans saw a little bit of a step back from Sauce last year, specifically with some of the efforts in some of the games, tackling, maybe staying back and not trying to get himself hurt. What did you see?
um, I definitely saw him not be the same guy we saw, whatever, but I also know who Aaron Glenn is and what position he played
Mm.
and how he played. So if I'm going to trust that guy to tell me what he sees in him more than I'm going to trust me, right? Like you're already with him, you know what he is. This is your true expertise. Probably going to give you the benefit of the doubt.
What can we expect from an Aaron Glenn coach football team?
You can expect heart. You can expect, I mean, when you use the Lions word of grit, but I don't know a better one. Whatever the New York version of grit is, you're going to expect grit. You're
I
going to
think we just
expect,
call it New York.
I mean, yeah, obviously. Also, I need to get that Knicks hat because
Oh yeah.
that's a
So
good one.
I added the 11, the
Ooh,
Brunson 11 on the side. I was
I
at this
like it.
place in Arizona where they
Hmm.
do like these custom hat things, and I was like, "Hey, can I actually try? I want to try something." I saw two orange and blue ones, and I was like, "Can I put that
That's
on?" They're like,
cool.
"Yeah, sure." So
Well,
yeah,
you
I
should show
mean,
them because that is a really good hat. My husband's from northern New Jersey, so
okay.
he's a big Knicks fan. So I might need to get that for him. I'm going Pistons because obviously, you know.
Right. And I was there. I was out. So it's funny because my wife's from Michigan. So I was out there for some. Yes, I was out there
You
for.
like Michigan?
I love Michigan. I flew in from
Right.
Michigan this morning. I'm not
Where were
even
you?
kidding. I was in
Northern or
Southfield.
south? Okay, you were near
Yeah.
Detroit. Got it.
Yeah,
Perfect. Love
exactly.
it.
So I was right there.
Yeah.
So I was literally in Michigan this morning. So yeah, I love Michigan. I'm a big Aaron Glenn guy for that reason. I
Yeah.
thought they needed someone who had experience to kind of right the ship. So I wasn't sure. I wasn't sold on Glenn. He's continued to sell me every time he's gotten here, every time he's gotten in front of a microphone, really. The one thing is, I think he's fixed it a little bit. He's a little bit combative, especially with the media the first couple of times out. That's not going to work eventually, because guess who's going to be ripped on? It's the Rich Samini. Those guys are going to write about you eventually.
Yeah.
So you got to be careful with that. If you're not playing well, it doesn't play in New York to be the combative guy. The tough guy act works when you're winning. When you're not,
Like,
it kind of grows thin, right?
I mean, look, New York is a special place. AG knows that. He's already been there. He's been, it always is different when you're a player too. Like, especially a defensive player, I feel like defensive players are always like just a little edgier. Just,
Oh,
they
for
just,
sure.
just in general, they're like more used to that. But I think he'll mellow with that. And I also think, I like Rich Sweeney is amazing. So once he sees them write something
It was
like,
just a random name off the top of
no,
my
no,
head.
no.
I
I'm
no,
just saying,
yeah, I
like,
meant nothing about Rich.
I think the ones that they really hated are gone. So that's all I have to say. The ones that they really didn't like, they got rid of.
We don't need to mention any names, but if you were texting Joe Douglas that you were watching his kid at a baseball game, yeah, you probably shouldn't have been in the media.
Yeah,
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 you mentioned the energy though
yeah.
that Glenn has. With Sala, we saw this crazy energetic guy on the sideline in San Francisco, and then all of a sudden he turns into a tame person, and he's not the same when he gets to New York. Aaron Glenn, I feel like he's a little bit more authentic, and maybe he's going to stay true to himself here in New York.
He's also a little. He was already calm on the sideline. Aaron Glenn has a better poker face. I'm much like Robert Saleh was interesting because he felt like two different people. Like you'd watch him on the sideline in SF, and he'd be like everywhere, and then he'd speak to the media, and he'd be like, "Yes," and you're like, "Okay," like that. He's just being cautious, right? And then you saw him. I feel like he tried to like look like a head coach after that because like Shanahan's pretty quiet, like relatively, unless there's a bad call, but whatever. Like, so it's like maybe he's trying to look like a head coach. Like I just
Hmm.
think Aaron Gordon's the same all the time. And by the way, he's that same like you know like a little edgy whatever. Like that's how I don't think he's it's not inauthentic. Everything about him is as authentic as it gets. So when I think of New Yorkers, I think of very authentic, often like outspoken people. He's not as outspoken, but he's like New York authentic, very authentic.
Yeah, and that's what you got in Detroit, obviously, with Dan Campbell. He wasn't the quote unquote head coach. He was just a football guy who was going to cry. He was going to yell. He was going to everything. You got everything from him in
All the
those media
emotions.
sessions.
He,
Yeah,
he actually had
exactly.
all of them, every single
Right.
emotion in every single presser, which at first I was a little overwhelmed by, but then I mean it seems to work. But it seemed to work.
Do you think they take a step back? Goff coming off of a career year that could be looked at as an aberration, losing Glenn Johnson, obviously some of the guys in Eggstrand on the passing coordination.
Yeah, I think they take. I don't. Here's the thing. I actually think this year that is the most intriguing. It could be the best division in football, which is so weird to say. But if JJ McCarthy ends up being good, then I mean, this is a team that gave three teams to the playoffs last season, and the third team had 11 wins. Like
Yep.
that said it. You know, Packers they made history with that. So, I think that if the Vikings can remain competitive, the Bears got better. You know,
Hmm.
the I don't know if I think the Packers got better, but they at least kind of got the same. And
And well, just Jordan Love wasn't really fully healthy last year, right?
well, I think not having Jair Alexander on the defense, that lockdown corner situation, even though he wasn't healthy for the whole season, I think that shifts the balance a little bit because you got to stop the pass. And so I just don't know. I don't know. I don't know who steps up to fill that role. Is Matthew Golden going to be
Right.
the answer on offense too? Because they never really had a number one wide receiver either. So when I'm looking at this, I'm like, that could be. So I think the Lions take a step back in terms of total wins because of by virtue of this division keeps getting better. I still think they make it to the playoffs. Do they win the division? I kind of don't care. I think they're a playoff bound team, and it's almost better for them to be playing as underdogs than not. It seems to work better for them unless they have 19 people on injured reserve. But I do believe that they feel like they've got unfinished business. So I don't know if I think because both of the coordinators have ties to what the Lions are, who they are, what they've been wanting to do, that it's okay. That like it's kind of like the increased health and the decrease from the coordinators sort of even out, but overall they win fewer games because the division's tough.
Yeah, that makes sense. But fewer games in the regular season could also lead to more playoff success. I saw someone, I forget who said it, I wish I could credit them, said they put so much into the regular season that they kind of were out of gas by the time they got to the playoffs, and you saw it in that game, especially on Aaron Glenn's defense. Um,
Yeah.
I do have a background in sales and marketing. That's my
Love it.
original.
What did you sell? Pitch me.
So, well, I did real estate marketing, and then I
Okay.
transferred to media sales,
Oh,
selling
okay.
marketing, selling, different advertising for podcasts and sports. And that's how I got into sports and eventually sports media. I was like, hey, what would be really cool if I gave up my commissions and started working overnights at a radio station in Baltimore. So definitely it was a career choice. And here I am in New York and I'm having fun and I think I'm doing well. But I
I
definitely,
think you're doing great.
thank you. But I definitely am interested in your career path because it's somewhat similar, starting in a data analytics background,
Yep.
business development background, and then ending up on TV talking about football, which is
So
great.
random, right? Well, okay. So my sales pitch was that I was an investment banker and then I went back to
Oh,
business
wow.
school. And then I was a cocky business school student. You know, you go to a good business school, you're like, I went to a good business school. They all tell you. We all will tell you if we go to a good business school. I cold emailed the CFO of the NFL at the time. His
Wait,
name
so
is
where'd you go? You didn't
I
tell
went to
us.
Northwestern. I went to
Right. Okay.
Northwestern. Anthony Noto, and he gave me a job at the league office. So I worked for this, thinking I'm like I could go back into private equity, no problem. Like whatever, like so crazy. So I went and worked in the league office, and I learned a lot about season inventory restructuring, aka how many games should we have in a season. Should we have 17, 18, 19, 20? Should we have some teams in, how many teams should be in LA? How many teams should be overseas? All things that are still relevant now, which is
Of
kind of
course.
cool to see.
Are the
I'm like,
Jets
I bet
moving to
they'll
London?
use my model. Just kidding. I bet they don't. But so I started with that. And then, life is interesting how things develop. You said you find something that you love and you pivoted towards it. And maybe, your bank account probably took a hit, but your happiness. And now it's all good. You do that when you're young, figure it out. I went to Disney after business school and I worked in strat planning. So mergers and acquisitions, business development with a tech focus, big data at the time. And then I wanted to go back to sports, went to ESPN, owned by Disney, and
Hmm.
then was working on tech innovation and meaning buying companies that help ESPN hockey. Are you a hockey fan?
I
You
am,
big hockey
yes.
guy? Me too.
I'm a
Uh,
Rangers fan, so
of
it's
course you
been
are.
tough, but
Not that tough. I mean, you're
I mean, to me, my favorite player because of how old I am is Chris Kreider. He was like the last athlete I still had that like childlike feeling towards because I
I
was
love
so
that.
young when he came into the league. And so
Yeah.
seeing them trade him to me was just devastating. So, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I have a dog named Gordy after Gordie Howe.
Oh,
So
okay. So there you go.
there we go. Yeah. But you know that when you see the ads switch on the when you're watching on the TV and the on the boards, you see the ads switch,
Yeah.
and you know it's not what's in the, those are the types of technologies we were acquiring and buying and developing, which was really cool. And then all of a sudden, Paul DePodesta gets hired from baseball into the Browns, and no one knows how to talk about Moneyball for football. So they're like, "You want to try it?" And I was like, "I guess you just say yes." And I was awful. And but I was passionate, and I kind of reverse engineered some of the TV part of it so that I would get over myself, you know, cocky business school student. But then I watched myself back. I'm like, oh, I hate her. And then I took an improv class to get over myself, and you know, and 10 years later, here we are.
That's unbelievable. The improv class part is an unbelievable just tossing at the end. But
Well,
I
I had to figure out how to learn how to get over myself. Like,
yeah,
I think all, like, if you have your cocky business school friends, you tell them, go take an improv class. You're probably giving a presentation like a jerk. You probably look like a jerk. So I
yeah.
was good. I was glad to have the feedback, you know?
What's funny is the first program director I had, it was when I transferred from sales. He's like, "So you're a sales guy. You talk a lot. You talk too much. You're going to be successful at this job by shutting up." Seems counterproductive because you want to be on air, but no, just let the host, let the on-air talent do what they do. Your job is to help them, assist them, have them fully prepared before the show so you can be quiet during the show. And that's how you're going to be good at this. I've learned how to insert myself in my own ways. And obviously, I've gotten some on-air opportunities now, so
Perfect.
it's fun.
I mean,
Um,
stay with it. And you're allowed to talk. You just got to know,
I
like,
know.
podcasts, you can talk more. TV, you're just the guy in your ear telling you, rap, rap, like, listen to that. You know, like, that's really all you got to do. Take an
Yeah.
improv class.
So the one thing I'm sure so many people ask you, I don't if you're employed because I worked for Major League Baseball for one summer, so you're employed by the NFL, so I assume you can't use your model to gamble.
Correct. I cannot. But I can reveal the outcomes of my model, and other people can listen to that and take that information and do with it what they'd like.
So, it's so funny because a lot of the things we were, I mean, I'm a Yankee fan now, and so many things that happen now, we talk about the human element, and the Yankees don't value it at all. And look at Anthony Volpe, he's struggling, and all these different things, and Aaron Boone is coddling him, and you have to, but the analytics tell us this, and this is why this guy's batting here today, and Yankee fans go insane over this today. So, how do you factor in the human element? Because that's the greatest part of sports is the unknown, because there is a human factor.
Right. So I think you have to flip it on set. Number one, New York fans are always going to have issues
You think?
with everything, which is my favorite thing about New York fans. I'm married to one. We get it. Like it's you know it's a thing that happens, right? But the other part of it is using analytics to empower people, right? Like if you're saying that I just want to get incrementally better, I want to like if you want to do it for baseball, you could talk about all right, so I know I'm going to pitch this. This guy's pitch is bad with it. Like, keep it really simple. Like, just use something like it's a little bit of extra knowledge that you can use to be just incrementally better. It's not trying to turn everything into a computer. It's not AI doing that. You'll never take the human element out of it. But if I can set up Brees Hall better by lining up in against a specific defense who has a great off-ball linebacker, if I can trick them into thinking, oh, when we have two running backs on the field at the same time, it's going to be a pass to Brees Hall, but then I run duo. Like all you're doing is helping people succeed at what they do. So you're just trying to give a game. I always talk about this. It's like this much better, incrementally better. If you're 8% better over 10 games, you're like doubling your win. Well, you're getting an extra win, right? So, all you're doing is trying to leverage the information to exploit your strengths and you're going to exploit their weaknesses, minimize your own weaknesses, make sure. And I love it on defense too, because defense is a process of elimination. If I see this, it can't be this. If I see this, it can be this and this, but not that. Like, right? So all you're doing is making this decision tree a little bit more formalized so you can help the learning curve for your players. You can help the learning curve for your coaches. And also when something isn't working, you can try to figure out what that is that's not working and bridge communication a little bit faster, which is often really what the problem is, right? If I as a coach can't communicate what I'm seeing and you are doing incorrectly, then it's really going to take a lot of time to fix, right? If you can fix it at all. But if I as a coach can see this and I can say, okay, the data can help me point to something that looks wrong, or sometimes we're biased about how we see things or don't, like if I can help eliminate my biases and make myself so that I'm empowering my players to be their best, that's what analytics is for. You're never going to get like I can't possibly tell you that, how fast Garrett Wilson's going to run on this post versus that. Like, no,
Yep.
what I can say is, this guy gets burnt inside a lot more often. So let's trick him. Let's make sure if he tries to show me false leverage that I go on the inside than the outside or whatever the optimal place is. So let's make it easier. Let's do a little shortcut and see my best versus your best. Let's go.
So I'm going to make you try though to predict some things here.
Yeah.
The team to take the biggest jump, team to maybe, I guess the two biggest surprises, both positive and negative in the league this year. What do you think?
I think the Niners have a resurgent year. I don't know if that's really like a big leap to make. They were pretty banged up
Is
last
Brock
year.
Purdy good?
Brock Purdy's fine.
Is he
Like,
$50 million good?
well, that's the funny part is like ask me on a vacuum. Like, how much does he really get paid? What number is that? I think the number's in the teens because we see these. Okay, you know this when you see it on Twitter. This up to blah 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 means nothing.
Right.
Just a guaranteed number, right? I think guaranteed number puts him in the teens, which is about where he is. And I say that with like nice. I'm not being mean. I
No, yeah.
know what 50 like what does that mean? What does he have to do to get $50 million? If
It's
like
true.
win the Super Bowl, like do acrobatics? Like I'm not sure what's written in his contract, but
To me, it's like elevate the team around you where now you have less for everyone else. So the team around you is not going to be as great, right? So
right.
is he an elevator?
I think given the market, see the problem is the market dictates the price of the quarterback. So if you're
So do you
telling
think
me
there should be a separate cap for quarterbacks?
nope, because I
Okay.
think that teams that are better at managing their money, that's what like I love parity. I love the fact that you can go from worst to first. We have teams all of the time that go from fourth in the division to making the playoffs the next
Yep.
season. And that's what makes it fun. And sure, we also have dynasties like the Chiefs 9 seasons, I believe they've won their division. Like, but it's fun then when you knock
The
them off.
Patriots my whole life and every Jets
The
fan.
Patriots all of our whole life. Like, point is, it's fun to knock off someone from their throne. But if you can't manage your cap right, then I don't know. I think that's part of the game. And I think it's fun to have. So it's fun. It's the only sport where the floor and the ceiling are like they're very, very hard to get right. They're very
Yep.
hard to get right. But when you figure it out, then it's pretty magical.
So who's taking a step back?
I mean, yeah, the Lions will take a step back. I mean, I just think that's a huge win total. I think the Vikings will take a step back. I don't know anything about JJ McCarthy. I mean, I obviously know what I've heard and I've seen, a bunch of college film, but I don't know what that means. And especially after getting hurt, does that
Yeah.
mess with his head? Like these are a lot of unknown factors. I think I think the Texans the Texans are an interesting one because I think they'll be better this season. I know that they're already like fine, but like, that division
The
is
eye
so
test was not great.
the eye test was
Yeah.
bad. I'll go ahead and say it bad. I think the Bengals defense is such a mess. I think that's going to be tough. I wouldn't be surprised this year if it's the Ravens' year to go to the Super Bowl. No, sorry, you should have been those Baltimore overnights now. But
The
but
years I was there was the years that Lamar's threatening to hold out and not play. Those were the years I got, and everyone's talking about Tyler Huntley starting a playoff game. So that was fun.
yeah, exactly. So I don't know. I think let's see. I think the Steelers take a step back. This to me could be the first time we see the Mike Tomlin not have a winning season. I
Mm.
know Aaron Rodgers is there, but I don't know. I think it's weird. It's such a weird team. The whole thing is weird.
I think Jets
I'm
fans are rooting against Aaron Rodgers. I love Aaron Rodgers. I'm never going to root against him, but I think Jets fans are rooting against him.
what's funny is I think I have the most spiciest take on Aaron Rodgers. Are you ready for what it is?
I'm ready.
I don't
This
care.
is gonna be the breakout video.
I don't care. Like I mean I'm just okay. I hope he's good because I want to see great play top to bottom in the league. I want every game to be like 35-38. Like okay, maybe better defense than that because I do love defense. But I want every game to be like a nail biter and I want to believe everyone can win every game. But I'm just kind of sick of this narrative like is he back? Is he back? Like for however many years like Jets fans were saying they're going to the Super Bowl 2 seasons ago. Like, it's just crazy like you're like all right, he's a very very good quarterback. obviously a first ballot Hall of Famer. No one's in any way taking away the past from him, but like, okay, let's just calm it down.
Collectively move on.
I don't know. I just think there's more interesting quarterbacks in the league by far.
It's true. There's a
Well,
lot of
maybe
interesting
that's
stories.
boring. Maybe that's a bad take, but I don't know. I just think I'm just kind of
No.
like, take it or leave it.
So
Whatever.
again, you're not a gambler, but you're taking the over 5.5 for the Jets this year.
I am actually.
All right.
I'm not.
I
I'm not
like it.
calling for 9, but I'm. I think that there's a lot of pieces, and there's a lot of if those pieces can come together, it will be about, a little bit like, analytics people, we don't believe in momentum as most people define it, but I do believe that success does begat a little bit more success.
Hmm.
So if they can find some early wins, however they define that, doesn't necessarily mean like wins, but it means like getting better each game, then that will
Like the
be
Lions, the first year with Dan Campbell.
that's exactly what I'm talking about. That it was not pretty, but they got better every game, and then they ended up figuring themselves out and getting an identity and being able to carry that identity over into the next season.
Yeah, it's so interesting with the Jets also just this year. The 6 to 8 wins make you believe that Justin Fields is the starting quarterback of the future. That's my biggest fear, that he's mediocre, but they talk themselves into him.
I that's an interesting it's an interesting look. Wouldn't it be a nice problem to have if you were in the
Oh,
Michael Penix
yes.
situation?
Yeah.
Like these are great problems. Because then what's your worst case scenario? You're talking yourself into it, someone else also believes what you're saying, then you can trade them. Like, I mean, I don't know.
I mean, look at
Or what if
Sam
you find
Darnold. Look at
what if you
Geno Smith.
you know how much money they or equity they got for Sam Darnold? That was not a bad move.
Yeah.
That they turned something that was potentially not that useful for them for very low money into something that was far more useful for them. There we go. We'll see how it works out, but that's on JJ McCarthy. But the Sam Darnold experiment was to me, that was a huge success. They
I'll be
got
rooting
so
for him
far.
in Seattle. I love Sam, always will. So
That's a team that Seattle's an enigma to me. I don't have a good beat on them yet. That's what
me
I'll be
neither.
looking training
I
camp.
could
I
see
feel like
Sam go either direction.
that's right. It'll come down to like everything else. Their O line, which was very different. Like they were hurt for part of the year. Like Charles Cross played well, then it was weird, then it was not weird, I don't know, like consistency. But you also have a redundant position in JSN and Cooper Cup. Like I
Hmm.
get it that they could whatever, but they can be creative with that. But they play the same position, like
Yeah, and
exactly. So
I do
confused.
think Mike McDonald is a great coach, just from seeing
Same.
him in Baltimore a little bit. I think and he was in Michigan before that, right? So
Yeah,
great coach.
defense
Yeah,
is, but to me, I'm not worried about their defense. Their defense is,
right.
and Devin Witherspoon does not get talked about enough in New York because you guys are not concerned about him. But but
Well, we talk about Sauce and Sertan and those other guys, but yeah,
Devin Witherspoon's right. He give him a little bit more of a pass rush, and he's up. I mean, Pat Surtain had the help of a really great front, and not take nothing away from that. They figured that defense out, but like, Devin Witherspoon's doing a really good job without having the push up front that some other guys get. So I don't know. I just say we're lucky that there are more good corners that are young than maybe I realized before I really stepped back and thought about it for a little bit.
well, I really appreciate the time because we went
Yeah,
pretty long. So,
it's fine. I'm
again,
happy to talk anytime. Just need that hat. Just kidding.
okay, perfect. I'll send you the link to this,
Send me the
and
link. Yeah.
I could send you the spot where to get that. And I wore this every day during the playoffs because that's the only team that I still have that childhood feeling about is the Knicks.
Yep.
I love them. My father's still super heavily like emotionally invested, so we love
I
watching
love
the
that.
Knicks, and it's huge for us. But again, NFL Network is going to have coverage. Back Together Weekend is this weekend. Then you guys are inside training camp. That's the following weekend, July 20, or
Like
sorry,
everything
starting
after
next
that. Like
week.
it's
Yeah,
like the
exactly.
weekend and then we're all over the place until who knows when. I don't even know.
Anything else you have to plug?
I mean, just like glad the season's back.
Yeah,
And
same.
by the way, I need to give a little more love to Aaron. I'll text you things to ask him. If you need
Okay.
things to ask him that will make him laugh. Because
Okay, perfect.
I'll
That's
give you,
good.
'cause God forbid we have fun in pressers. Now, I don't know if I would fully model the stuff after me because I ask ridiculous questions, like, just sometimes to break up like when the Lions, I got to go to the Lions playoff game against the Bucks when they won 2 seasons ago. And in the presser after, I asked Dan Campbell, like, are you buying us all shots? And the rest of the media got really mad at me.
That's great.
But I was like, I'm not working right now. I'm just here for the fun. Like, we're good.
Yeah, exactly. I think I'm going to be there Friday with Bilal Powell, who usually
Nice.
or sometimes hosts the podcast with me. So,
Oh,
um,
tell Bleav Powell, where is he today?
yeah,
I
what
would
the
like to
hell,
see
right?
him. Come on. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. But yes, I do think that I will be there with BP,
Great.
hopefully Friday this week. And then I'm not sure when we're going out with WFAN for our shows. But I know we are doing the Giants next Thursday, so I'm not sure when we're doing the Jets. But at some point,
Great.
we'll be in Florham Park. So I send me those questions for AG.
You got it. Nice to
All right.
meet you.
Awesome. Thank you.